I'm Matias, and I'm super stoked to talk today about how we can use assembly to build our culture stack. So really what assembly is, as a brief refresh, is a flexible workflow builder that allows you to build all of the workflows, processes, and channels that your communications happen in, that your tasks are managed in, and that your people can go in to socialize, be managed, deepen their relationships, and engage more deeply within your organization. So an organization is really built out of these workflows. So these workflows are how your people interact. They're how they get things done, and they're how they get celebrated, recognized, and rewarded within your organizations. And assembly really allows you to build this idea of a culture stack from scratch. So perhaps you're familiar with the term stack. A stack is really the tools, the processes, and the different platforms that your company, your organization uses in order to provide your service or offering. So people talk about technology stacks, they talk about marketing stacks. What assembly enables you to do really is to build your culture stack. So in the same way that people deliberate over the best choice of tools and the best choice of process for their culture stack, for their technology stack or for their marketing stack, you should be applying the same level of intentionality to your culture stack. So your culture stack is really the combination of the tools, processes, and workflows that your organization uses to get your people to deliver your offering. And we'll talk now about how assembly can help you build that from scratch. So a culture stack is really about how your organization gets things done, how you communicate, how you celebrate accomplishments, how you celebrate milestones, how you socialize, how you onboard people into the team, how you foster deeper relationships, how you manage your meetings, how you manage your performance, and eventually how you measure all of those things, how you measure the employee experience that it is to be a part of your culture. So if we jump into assembly here, we can talk about how we touch on each of those pillars and we allow you to build that stack from scratch. So really the crux of culture within an organization, within a team that has a set goal, is how you are actually getting things done, right? So when we talk about getting things done within assembly, some of our core workflows are really this idea of daily stand-ups. So stand-ups, or you could call them morning stand-ups, are about this idea of committing each morning to a set of tasks or to a body of work, and then communicating that with your team for the sake of accountability. So in the morning, every day, our team will come in and they will respond to daily stand-up, and they'll discuss basically how they're feeling. You know, today I'm ready to crush. What did I get done yesterday? What do I plan on doing today? And are there any obstacles or blockers that I'm going to need help with? So each day we'll come in here and we'll respond to that flow and build out a feed of basically where everyone's at, how they're feeling, where they're blocked, who might be blocking them. So we can actually go in and get those things sorted, get people unblocked, get the work actually accelerated. So in the morning, you commit to a set of tasks via stand-up, and then over the course of your day, you can actually transfer those tasks to your notebook, which is really the almost planner view for your day or for your week. So in the morning, I might commit, say, to giving this webinar, and then I can go and actually manage that task right here within my notebook. You know, later on in the day, there might be a different set of tasks, and each day that's going to change depending on what I'm committing to for that day. And also, you know, having the accountability for my team that I've actually stated what I'm working on allows me to be more accountable, to be more driven, be more motivated to actually get that work done. So that's part of how assembly really helps people get things done within your organization. However, you know, you might want to answer a different set of questions from us. It might be different from how are you feeling? What's blocking you? What did you do yesterday? What did you do today? So what we enable you to do is actually to build that workflow, build that form from scratch, right? So if we jump in here and we look at perhaps a daily agenda flow or a stand-up meeting flow, you can pop in here and we can preview this. How did you feel today on a scale of 1 to 5? What did you get done yesterday? What are you planning on doing today? Any blockers, obstacles, challenges, and choose a GIF that represents how you want the day to go. So that is our template. However, once you jump in here, you can actually go into the editor and you can customize this to be however you want it to be. You can customize it to run on a specific schedule. If you guys run your stand-ups or you want to do those accountability checks just on Mondays and Fridays, if you want to do them every day, if you want to do them specifically Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we support any of those various different schedules by actually going in here, setting a schedule, picking the day that you might want the flow to start, and then saying, I want us to discuss this every weekday, or perhaps I want to discuss this each week, but just Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll give people Fridays off. So once you've set your schedule, you can actually go in and customize all of the questions. So perhaps it's not about how do you feel today, but it's about how confident do you feel you are prioritizing the right work today. Really can make whatever you want. And from there, you can customize all of your questions. You can add additional questions. Perhaps we want to say, how did yesterday go? Poorly to swimmingly. Anything you want. So once we've done that, we can save the flow. And then we can actually go here and share this flow with our whole team. So when we make a deliberation about who's going to be participating in this flow, we want our whole team to jump in here. We want our entire organization to be able to come in, commit to the work each day. And we want everyone who's participating to be able to see the other people's responses. So when we choose viewers, we're really making a decision around who can see the responses that are coming in. So we're going to say participants only. So anyone responding can see other people's responses. This is going to end up, once people start responding, creating a flow where all of those different responses, all of the tasks that people are committing to over the course of the day will all come in here. And as a result, we get this really nice view each day into how our teams are doing, who needs our help. As a manager, we can use this to identify who's falling behind, who's overachieving, who's perhaps close to burnout, right? Like each day we'll know who's working on what, how they're feeling, and we can customize those questions to serve whatever our needs are. And we can use the notebook to actually manage those tasks, assign them to people, see once they get completed, etc. Once the work gets done though, the next question in your culture stack is really, how are you celebrating those accomplishments? How are you celebrating the fact that that work got done? And this is really a core piece of assembly. So we have this flow called give recognition. And give recognition is really about taking a moment in your day and encouraging, not just yourself, but encouraging yourself and your team to go and see what work is getting done, and who contributed to that, who went above and beyond, and then taking a moment to actually go and recognize them for that work. So if we look at our give recognition flow here, we have a feed that's really rich with people being called out by leadership, people being called out by their peers, people being called out by their reports for just doing great work, right? And it's, as a receiver of that, it feels good that your work is seen. And as a recipient, you feel good knowing that this person knows that they're seen. So that's part of how we use give recognition as a flow in order to make our people feel seen, recognized, respected. And they can actually go from there and use those points that they're being given, use those points that you're rewarding them with to actually go and purchase rewards like gift cards, various cultural rewards. They can donate those points to charity. So it just makes the deal a little bit sweeter. Big things that are happening in all of our organizations, there's central real kind of rocks or boulders worth of work that's getting pushed out of our organizations. How do we actually celebrate those moments, right? So oftentimes these things can be pretty ad hoc or they can get lost. What we do at Assembly is we actually encourage people to build launch announcements flow. So let's say there's a large campaign or a large feature or a new partnership or a big deal that's being launched or completed or closed. What we want to do is say, let's have a real dedicated space to call those out and to structure what matters about it, right? So for us, it's what just launched, what does this mean for our customers, our company, and our partners? And then we want to, once again, point out who contributed to that work. So who drove and contributed to this launch? And then we want to award those people points. We want to give them something a little sweet that they can go and redeem at the end of the day for whatever it is they want. So we use the launch announcement flow in this way. And launch announcements is another one of our templates. So if we jump into flows, perhaps you don't like our set of questions, you can go here, find launch announcement, and here's those questions we just discussed. What launched? What does this mean for our customers and our partners? Who drove and contributed? And award those people points. We use this template and jump into the editor. Once again, we can make this whatever we want it to be. So because this flow is triggered, basically each time something goes out, we call it no trigger so that people can just jump in and respond whenever. we ask them what just launched, but you might want to ask them something more specific, which campaign just launched, if you want this to be a specifically for marketing campaigns, which feature just launched, if you want this to be just for your engineering and your product teams, really anything. You can structure it more deeply, you can make it more broad, you can add additional questions, it's all up to you. So once we've saved this flow, this is the kind of flow where we want perhaps all of our organization to be able to participate, and we want everyone, no matter who's participating, to actually be able to go and see those new posts. So this becomes a shared place to celebrate the wins that are going out, to get visibility on those wins, and to get the people who contributed to them to be recognized and rewarded. Have built a couple of bots that will automatically distribute points when a significant milestone is achieved. So on a birthday, we'll give an automatic distribution of a certain set of points that'll go directly into that person's balance. And once again, they can redeem those points for any number of the rewards that you're offering. So we do that for birthdays, and then we do that as well for anniversaries to celebrate people's commitment to your organization. So loyalty is something that often goes unseen, but when you really take the chance to pause, reflect, celebrate those people for those moments, and create an opportunity for conversation around how impressive those accomplishments are, your team's going to feel seen. They're going to feel like their contributions are actually recognized. They're going to feel like their teammates have an insight into the contributions that they've made to the organization. And that's a really powerful thing for retention, but just for make your employees feel like they're valued members of your community. So those are the examples of how to automate those things, but there's also flows that we use where on somebody's birthday, a manager, a teammate can actually create a flow specifically to be a birthday card for that person. So you'll get your automated message with your distribution of points, but your teammates will also be able to jump in and say, happy birthday, and write a quaint little message about you, about your relationship, and celebrating your big day. So here we have an example of what it looked like on Brooke's birthday, where people are jumping in, saying happy birthday, wishing well, and tossing in a GIF. So if we answer this flow, we can see what kind of words would you like to share with your teammate for their birthday? And if you wanted to make one of these for yourself, we have a template for that as well. So if you jumped into creating a flow and you looked for the birthday card template or the anniversary card template, we'll use that one for now. You can actually use this template and then once again, edit it for your needs. So for us in this flow, we're just asking what kind of words would you like to share with your teammate for their anniversary, but perhaps there's an opportunity to make this more fun. So maybe we add another GIF block and we say, how does this person make you feel? And then when people respond, they'll have the opportunity to toss in a fun GIF in order to make that person feel more celebrated, and also to make the flow a little bit more fun and exciting. So that's really how we celebrate milestones within Assembly and how we enable you to do the same. One of our favorite flows is the About Us flow. So About Us is a flow that every new hire coming into Assembly answers in order to introduce themselves, in order to share some fun facts, and in order to really kick off the conversation with a great first impression. So for us, we answer questions like, what is your preferred name? What are your pronouns? Where are you born? Where are you from? Where were you working before you joined the team? Hobbies and interests of yours, favorite media. And then we love this question specifically, which is really a guide of how your peers should be working with you. So preferred communication patterns and channels, your work hours, how you like async versus synchronous work, how you like to receive feedback, how you like to be challenged, whatever. We really leave this up to the employee to actually go and to define those things. But what it creates is a moment of intentionality that is often missing from our different organizations, where people come in and they shake hands and they introduce themselves, but we often don't know, some of those key details around who they are and where they're from, what they like, and how they like to be worked with. So the About Us flow really allows you to structure those first moments. And if you don't like our questions, this might be a pattern at this point, but we actually have a template for that. You can jump in, you can pick the About Us template, click Use Template. And once you are in the editor, you can actually go and change those questions to your liking. So all of this is fully customizable, structure it however you would like. And then once that flow is created, we say that we want our entire organization to be able to participate. So everyone on their first day can come in and participate. And we want the entire organization to be able to view who's participating as they join the team. One of our perhaps more fun ways of structuring flows is to create social feeds around key themed topics and structuring the way that people submit to those. So this is one of our favorites, the Pets of Assembly flow. So you jump in here and it's just a call to upload a file of what your pets are up to. So we ask you to show us what your pets are up to. You jump in and you get a flow showing off all of your furry friends. So this is Willow. She's great. This is Katya's dog out on the beach. So it creates this really rich feed, creates conversations, and it allows people to talk about, their fur babies back home. We have, once again, another template for that. So as you jump into flows, you can actually look at this specific category, games and icebreakers, which is going to be a lot of those kind of fun ways to socialize with your team. So our team's pets allows you to create a feed showing off pictures of your pets. Overheard at Assembly is an example of how to share, funny quotes that are happening around your organization over the course of the day. Tell me something good is something we use to basically ask a fun question and get replies in the comments. We've got Halloween costume contests, we've got book club, icebreakers, all different ways to get those fun conversations that would otherwise not be happening into your organization and have them right there in the left drawer. People can always see them right where their work's getting done. What we do is we use flows to create a moment where a group of people can come together and before the meeting, they can answer the same set of questions that are going to be relevant to that meeting. And then over the course of the meeting, they can actually discuss their answers to that. So add some structure to what that meeting might be. So one of the best places for this is with one-on-ones. So one-on-ones are often highly unstructured, highly spontaneous, highly ad hoc. But what we've done here is we've made one-on-ones a little bit more structured. So you jump in and prior to the meeting with your manager, you actually answer a set of questions like, here's my top priorities in the moment. How can your manager support you in the short-term and long-term and your short-term and long-term goals? How confident do you feel that you have the support necessary to do your job? And how engaged are you feeling? We can actually use that to jump into the meeting. And instead of jumping right into small talk or chit chat, we can go straight to whatever the most important thing that was brought up in my actual flow response. It's a great opportunity for managers to prep for meetings. It's a great opportunity for direct reports to stop, pause, and think about really what is it that they want to use that time for. And this same idea then applies to larger meetings than just one-on-ones. So when we're meeting with a team, when we are meeting with a large group, either on an ad hoc basis or on a repeating basis, we want to make sure that once we get in the room, we're talking about the highest priority things. So here's an example of a collaborative meeting agenda amidst the whole product team. So prior to the meeting running, it's actually running later today, we all submit what are our talking points via this flow, which asks us, what do you want to talk about in our product sync? So you throw in a one-sentence summary of whatever topic it is, and then you have the opportunity to, during that meeting, go through each post one by one, highlight the ones that are high priority, have those discussions, and essentially provide that structure and provide that opportunity to get your point across that might be missed if you are running a meeting entirely ad hoc. And we create templates that allow you to do the same. So we have one-on-ones with your direct reports, with your managers, with your peers. No matter who you're meeting with, no matter what audience, we have a flow for you. So these are our set of questions, but as you saw before, once you create this flow, you can jump in and edit it to your needs. There's ways of handling meetings via things like meeting agendas, meeting notes. So a meeting agenda is really just going to ask you, what are your talking points that you want to discuss over the course of that meeting, but you can customize this as well to your needs. When we look here, we actually now enable you to build your own flows and invite people to them. We have a template that we like starting with here, which is the employee self-evaluation. So via the employee self-eval, they'll be able to pick their direct manager. They'll be able to list contributions and products they're proud of, skills that they excel at, situations that they would like to work on or improve, describe what isn't working well for them and start highlighting areas for growth or change, identifying career goals, how would they describe their technical skills, how would they describe their quality of work, utilization or productivity, and then the quality of their communication and their contributions to the culture and their professionalism. So once again, these are questions that once you use the template, you can jump into the editor and restructure them however you'd like. So being able to change any of these questions, being able to add new questions, being able to change these labels, we allow you to customize all of that in order to create the performance management program that works for you, right? So once we finish this, this is the kind of flow where once we share it, we might perhaps want a smaller group of people to join. So maybe we're going to pick a department. Maybe we'll pick the design team just for example purposes. So once we've confirmed that, we actually don't want the participants to be able to see this, right? We've got multiple participants who are feeding into this flow, but we don't want them to be able to see each other's responses. So what we can do is say, as their manager, I could jump in and say owner only. And that would allow me to be, as the owner of this flow, the only person who's going to see those responses. So each person that's feeding into the flow with their self-evals, they'll be able to see their own responses, but they will not be able to see each other's. So I have a centralized place as their manager and as the flow owner where I can actually review all of their different responses. I can see how their responses have changed over time if this is something that we're running on a schedule basis. Or let's say I want myself and a director to be part of that. Or let's say I want the C-level management to be a part of that. I can add them there. I can also add an additional viewer criteria. Maybe we just want our CEO to be part of that. So we can add John there. So now what we've created is a flow that has a set of participants who are coming in, responding, and then a set of viewers who go and are able to then view those responses, make decisions, plan action items, plan interventions in the case that somebody needs assistance, somebody needs additional support, or that somebody needs to be promoted in the case that they're overperforming or are just deserving of a promotion. So the last question is really about how we measure all of this. Is it working, right? And that's kind of the last piece of the culture stack, which is as people are engaging with each other, as they're launching, great work, as they're celebrating one another, how do they feel about actually being a participant in your organization? So the way that we enable this is, once again, via those same workflows. So if we jump in here and we create a flow, we've got a template where you can actually do employee satisfaction survey. So over the course of their tenure, they'll be able to answer these set of questions either on a scheduled basis or on a one-off. It might be once a year, it might be once a quarter, maybe even once a month. And then you define basically what questions matter to you about your employee experience, about your culture. And then you can use that to measure basically how meaningful do your teammates think that their work is, how challenging do they think that their work is, a typical week, how often are they feeling stressed, how well paid are you, how well compensated, opinions of your coworkers, how much do your opinions matter to your coworkers, how realistic are the expectations of your supervisor, how often do the tasks assigned to your supervisor help you grow professionally, do you have opportunities to get promoted, are you supervised how much, right? That idea of micromanagement versus laissez-faire management, perhaps. How satisfied are you with your benefits? How satisfied are you with your job? How proud of you of the brand of your organization? And how much do you like your employer? How much do you like working there? So we offer that as well as an engagement survey that asks very similar questions about your relationship to your organization via scale blocks. So part of using these scales is that they provide you an opportunity to look at how your people are changing in terms of their engagement over time, how they relate to your organization, how different changes in policy, different changes in culture, different changes in size, different changes in program have actually changed their answers to these questions as you've gone and responded to the insights that you're deriving from them. So once we've said we want to track this stuff, we can actually jump in, use this template, and once again, we can go and customize it to our liking. So we're going to run this on demand. And once we're looking for responses, we'll run the flow. We're asking questions here that you can go and control. You can change the labels. You can add additional questions. And once you've done that, we'll save the flow, share it. We'll have our participants be the entire organization. Viewers will be perhaps just our C-level management and our human resources department. And from there, as people come in and answer the flow, they'll be able to go and select their job role, select their function, and answer all of these questions that you've set up for them for you to track how your culture stack is actually performing. You create a culture of basically transparency and accountability for leadership. And Ask Me Anything is a great way of doing that. So we can jump in here to our template gallery and we can find Ask Me Anything. So the Ask Me Anything flow, if we preview it here, is who would you like to ask? So pick, who is the recipient of the question that you're asking, and then pick what you would like to ask. So if we use this template, we can jump in here. Let's say I wanted to ask John, our CEO, about, can you tell me the founding story of Assembly? We can do that there. When this flow gets really powerful, however, is when we actually enable it to be anonymous. So once you enable this to be anonymous, there's perhaps more of an onus to ask the questions that are perhaps more difficult, or that you perhaps feel like you need to be shielded in order to ask. So we can actually go in here as the flow owner, and perhaps, as the leadership team, I want to encourage the most honest and the most cutting questions in order to get real answers out and distributed to my team. So as the flow owner, I'd jump in here and I'd say, I actually want anonymous responses to be optional, or perhaps I'm even going to force them and say all responses are anonymous. So once I've done that, if I go in here and I answer again, now we're telling people as they're answering, your responses are anonymous. You can jump in here and with no holds barred, you can ask anyone whatever question you want. So let's ask John again. And this time we're going to ask him, why are we not seeing the results we wanted for Q3? A little spicier. And then we can post that anonymously. So John, because he's been mentioned here, will then be notified. He can come in and in the comments, he can either distribute a response, or perhaps this becomes something that we run alongside a meeting for John to go and answer those questions as the meeting is running. Or perhaps after responses have come in asynchronously, we do schedule synchronous time in order to go work through those high priority ones. And once again, in the case that you want to go and edit this further, perhaps you want to include additional details in terms of like how important is this topic for the success of the business, or how important is this topic for the employee experience, and then from there, save the flow, and you'll see those changes reflected. That is how you can build an Ask Me Anything. And then from there, you'd obviously want your whole organization, in the case that it's a whole org Ask Me Anything. But if you want to do a department level AMA, you can just invite perhaps all of sales to be participants in the flow. And then for the viewers, we might want it to be owner only, or we might want it to be perhaps, once again, just C-level management. And there we go.